I'm really excited about today, guys, because today I'm planting my favorite tree, and that's the fig tree. So let's get it going. So I wanted to show you guys one of my fig trees that I planted. Actually, I planted this particular one just a couple of weeks ago, but I've actually been growing this for I think about 2 years now. So it's got some nice foliage on it. It's got a nice thick base, pretty decent thick base. And the trick to this one was to make sure that it survived through the winter. And this particular variety is Italian Everbearing, which is actually a really good flavored fig. So definitely up there with one of my favorites. And today I'm going to be planting a bunch of other ones, but I just wanted to show you guys this one first, and I'll get into some good tips for you guys so that you can plant some of your favorite figs in your home, and some things that you can follow to make sure you guys are successful. So let's get cracking. So this is the fig tree I'm going to be planting today. And one of the things that I did with this particular one, I actually grew this from a cutting from a different fig tree. And I actually planted it directly in a smaller pot than this one. But I wanted to make sure that it was successful. So I think when I do that again, I'm going to do another video for you guys so you can see what I did step by step and how I got it cutting from another fig tree into what we have here. So one of the things I wanted to just kind of show you a little bit is the depth. I'm going to be planting this into the ground, and you normally, when you start digging your hole, is you want to dig outside the perimeter of the actual pot itself. You don't want to plant a hole the exact size of that, because then it's going to be too tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig with this shovel. And this is actually a really good shovel. This is one of my favorite shovels. It's small, it has a pointy tip to it, and it's great for, like, I would say a majority of the shoveling I do is with this guy. So I'm going to probably go with a diameter about twice the size of the actual pot. So I'm going to just show you a little bit what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to go around the actual pot. I'm not going to move the pot, because I want to make sure I don't lose my spacing of where exactly I want this to be. So as you can see, I'm kind of following along just outside the border. Okay, now that I have that, now I can move my pot out of the way and just dig this a little further in the ground and get this. This is what I like about the shovel, because it really kind of scoops underneath of the soil, and then from here I can kind of just dig around the edges. Just like that. And the biggest thing you want to do is make sure you got this thing deep enough so that when you're covering it, you're right at pretty much where you were as far as being leveled in the pot. Now, I will say this. If you have roots that are appearing, that are sticking up, like some of this was doing, I want to say probably a few weeks ago. So, and this is just potting mix I have. I actually poured more potting mix because these roots were starting to expose. So if you have a situation like that and you're getting ready to pot this guy, or I'm sorry, plant this guy in the ground, make sure that those roots are covered, because you don't want those roots being exposed to the sun, because it's going to strain it, and you want to make sure that you have that guy completely buried. So that looks to me about right. I'm going to do a little bit more digging. And I think I'm good to go. And I want to be careful Most of this should be already loosened up. You don't want it too tight, so that way the pot or the actual plant is hard to pull out. And you can kind of see some of the roots around there, and I want to be really careful with this when I put it in the ground. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now all I'm going to do is just grab the soil, put it around. All right, so let me just give that a slight press down on all sides. Cover it over again. So one of the biggest things with this is that when you're planting a fig tree, you want to make sure that you put it in the right spot so that it gets plenty of sun. If you're going to plant this near your house, one great tip, the tip I would give you is that you can actually improve it by giving it some protection by putting it near up against your house, like in a corner, but as long as that corner gets plenty of sun. You could probably get away with half a day's sun. If that's the best spot, go for it. In the winter time though, definitely try to pick what type of varieties that would suit your area. I'm in zone 7, so you know, it gets pretty cold around here in the winter time. These guys don't like it once it starts getting down into the teens, single digits. They will grow back from the ground up. The problem with that is that when you're growing your fig tree, okay, and you got all this beautiful foliage, okay, and you get a bad freeze, all that foliage that you were expecting to get, you know, most of your fruit on is gone. Okay, so now you have to depend on new growth growing from the bottom up, and then you're not going to get as much fruit from that because of that. So that's why I say put it in an area where it can be protected. I'm really looking forward to, you know, harvesting some figs. I don't know if I'm going to get much out of this guy this year. The other ones I'm hoping to get some fruit out of, and we're just going to basically watch out for the birds. So, you know, that's going to be the next thing. So one thing at a time. And we might have to invest in some cats for the farm. So, because I think, was it the year before we were having problems, and they ate basically almost all the figs.
Yeah. And
yeah, we went on vacation once, and then the figs were, you know, they were starting to produce. They weren't ripened yet, but
there was a lot.
Yeah, when we got back, they were just ripening and we were about to pick, and I think another day went by and I went outside and they were like all gone. And I could have sworn somebody must have came on my property and took all my fig trees. I mean my figs. And so I'm sitting there trying to figure out, I'm like, what in the world happened? I'm like, I didn't see any like evidence of anything on the ground or anything, but I'm telling you, it was the birds. And the birds, they will not leave any evidence. I mean, you might see something, and this is why I think I started to figure out what was going on, because there was one fig that was like halfway eaten, that was still on the tree. And that was my sign where I was like, yeah, okay. And then we eventually started seeing them after watching them.
Staking out
the area. So yeah, they were definitely you know, having themselves a little feast. Now this is just going to be the first row. Let me show you the panoramic over here so you guys can see the other figs that I have in the ground. This is just 10 that we have. Most of them are small, but the last two at the end, they're the bigger ones. So the goal is to plant 3 more rows like this, but of trees, fig trees that are specifically more cold tolerant. These varieties are a mix of
Italian everbearing?
I don't know if they're, I think some of them are Italian everbearing. Some of them even look like a celestial variety. I don't know for sure. The lady I got them from, she wasn't sure what varieties they were. She had like I think like 4 or 5 varieties. And you can kind of tell by the leaf print, the way the leaf looks. But again, I'll find that out more as they grow. So, and it's gonna be a little while for that. But that's why this is really a test case, to figure out what's going to grow and how I can make it survive through next or this year's winter. So yeah, that's the biggest thing with fig trees. It's like if you live in a cold area and you get those single digits, or teens, that you can lose all your foliage. So anyway, that's it guys. So I'm really finally glad I got my figs in the ground, and cannot wait to start getting some figs, and I'll be posting some videos for you guys so you guys can see how things are growing. So alright guys, that's it. Hope you guys are out there doing your thing. Stay organic, stay cool, and I'll talk to y'all later.